Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and today I want to talk about a couple of things that people noticed and shared with me but weren't necessarily in the patch notes. First was a change to charms in Dead by Daylight. It seems that all of the charms have been made universal, and what I mean by that is that there are no longer killer and survivor charms. They're just able to be used by anyone. I'm not sure why this change was implemented. It could be to like reduce tribalism and this is killer only, this is survivor only, just everybody can have everything. Or it could be that because maybe it made marketing more difficult for some of these bundles when they have like the weekly charm bundle, right? If some things are killer only or survivor only, maybe it makes it less attractive. But if charms can be owned by anyone, then maybe they become more attractive. Meet your maker. Yeah, remember that? Harvey, meet your maker. So I'm not really sure why, but I did reach out and it was done on purpose to unlock all the charms and make them for everybody. Let me show you what I mean. So I went searching to find a couple of examples and I saw these on Reddit here that people were talking about it. So this one, for example, why do we have killer and survivor only charms? This would look dope on the hook. The Roko figurine from the Reign of Kaiju, and it says here that it's survivor only for any character, right? And then this one here, why on earth is this a survivor only charm? I don't normally care about charms, but I really wanted to put this on my hunter's hook. Is there any chance behavior might change this? So let's go look for this one, the Huntress Werewolf, just to show you how they have indeed been changed. So that's survivor. It doesn't matter. I don't have to like boot up a killer to do it. Let's go ahead. Okay, so here we go for charms, and we're gonna pick customizations, charms. First slot we want werewolf. Okay, so there it is. Werewolf, killer and survivor charm any character. So they've all been changed this way, and it's not survivor charm only anymore. See? Same thing with the Roko figurine here from Reign of Kaiju, killer and survivor charm. So that's kind of neat. Any charms that you have, you can put them on your character, whether you're playing killer or survivor. So there's that. Okay, and the other thing I want to talk about is the decommissioning of the alternate layout maps for certain maps in the game. And what I mean by that is you can see here, if I go into customs, that there are 3 versions of the Mount Ormond Resort. Each one of them is different from the other. These were added about a year ago in June 2024. They added, let me show you, the Ormond variants and the Yamaoka Estate variants here. You can see this is from the developer blog from June 2024, added layout variations to the Yamaoka Estate maps and added layout variations to the Mount Ormond Resort map. We added new possible layouts for each of these 3 maps. While the layout of these variants are different, they'll include the same iconic features with landmarks, decorations, and are similar in size to the originals. So you can see here, there's 2 Sanctum of Wraths, 2 family residents for the Yamaoka Estates, and 3 of these Ormonds. Now, this really stunk because instead of like having the same weight, for example, for the Ormond Lake Mine and 3 Mount Ormond Resorts, these were all treated as 3 different maps. So if you put in an offering to go to Ormond, you would have had a 75% chance for that offering to tick one of these resorts instead of the Lake Mine. I know many people who, during the winter event, were trying to go to the new map, the Lake Mine, and playing the offering, but because it was weighted 75% towards resort with these 3 maps, you would be more likely to get that than the new map, the Lake Mine, right? Now, in this instance, it would be a 50-50 if the Ormond were to get pulled, right? It's kind of strange for me that they would decommission these maps. I would think that you would just change the coding, but maybe it's just easier to just mothball these maps instead of saying, okay, well, the RNG landed on Ormond. Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be Lake Mine or is it going to be resort? And then if it comes up as resort, then you would have another layer of RNG. Which of the 3 resorts would you get? But I don't know. I don't know how the coding works. I guess it would just be easier to decommission them all. So the biggest offender is probably Badham Preschool. There's 5 Badham Preschools. Badham Preschool 3, Badham Preschool 2, and then we have 5, 1, and 4. So 1 is going to be the only one that remains. The other 4 aren't going to be part of the RNG anymore. If the RNG lands on Badham, this is the one you're getting. The other ones you're never going to see the light of day. I'm actually surprised that they're here in customs, because they weren't in customs the other day. So I don't know if somebody decided to turn them back on for customs for fun. Not sure. They weren't here. They weren't here on Kaneki release day. So I'm a little shocked to see them here, honestly. And the other ones were the Macmillan Estate. So each of the Macmillan Estate maps had an A and a B version, 1 and 2, whatever you want to say. And those were added in, let me see here. Those were added in October 2023. Our work on maps doesn't stop here. The entire Macmillan Estate realm is being expanded. Each map in this realm has received a second alternate version. What does that mean? The next time you load into the suffocation pit, for example, things might be a little different. The trademark mine shaft will still be there, but it might be in a different spot. The shape and the layout might also be slightly different. So I guess this was meant to add some variety, which they decided either they don't want the variety. I heard some people saying that the alternate versions of Ormond had bad pallets, bad loops, and were easier to hold down 3 gens and 4 gens on those second ones. So I don't know if there are a lot of people who really like these Ormond variants. Some people like the variety of having, you know, different Ormonds and things, but these were considered lesser maps. That the primary one was superior. Anywho, also, I guess what was happening is they announced this change. It wasn't in the patch notes, but they did announce this change briefly in the Q&A section on the devs live stream, and they said that it was meant to decrease map repetition. So I guess what happens is when the game decides what map you're going to, because they had all of these Macmillan variations where we had 2 of everything. It was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Macmillans. So Macmillan had 10 slots in the RNG of what map you were going to go to, right? So there were, instead of 5 Macmillans, it was counting as 10 for RNG for where you go, because they had these version 1 and version 2. Same thing with the Badham maps. Because there were 5 of them, Badham took up 5 slots. So you had 5 times more likely chance to go to Badham than, say, Hawkins Lab, for example, or Lambkin Lane, the maps that only have 1 version, right? So they're pruning these so that you don't get Badham over and over again, Macmillan over and over again, Yamaoka, Ormond Resort, or Ormond over and over again, right? So that's what they've done. It's 13 maps in total that have been removed. Again, I'm a little curious why they are here in customs. I didn't expect to see them like this here today, because when I went and checked on it on release day, because we were kind of confused by the meaning of this, because they just developed this new map, the Dead Sands, and they've been feeding that one to us in rotation quite a bit this week, because I guess they want to test out the map and see if there are any bugs. And so people are like, wait, does that mean Dead Sands is gone already? But no, Dead Sands is here to stay, because it is a very different map. It isn't just a tweak variation, right? So the variations are pruned. Entirely new maps are staying, if that makes sense. So 13 maps in all have been removed. Here's the list. Okay, and here's the official word from the forums where Behavior responded. Dead by Daylight Dev says, map variety was greatly impacted by these variants. 4 different Badhams meant you'd get Badham much more frequently. And by removing these variants 2, 3, 4, etc., this will give you more chances to explore the map. So that's the reasoning behind this change. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I thought those were a couple of interesting things that you might want to know about. So let me know, what do you think? What do you think about charms being universal? Is there some charm that you really like, but you weren't able to put it either on your survivor or on your hook as killer? Are you going to lament over the loss of these map variants, or do you think that... So another thought is that it makes it easier with the influx of new players coming in to learn the maps, and not having variations will keep the learning curve lower for the new players who are presumably going to come in with the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter, that they'll be able to learn maps easier if there isn't this much RNG being thrown at them. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about this change of the maps? That's all I have for you today. As always, thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. Join the conversation. Don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.